I'm an immigrant from Belarus, which, unfortunately for their actions is now a place people know, and came to the US in 78, was very poor. That's really the only way to put it. We had 9 family members in a studio apartment. I really need people to wrap their head around what I'm saying. So it was really hardcore stuff for a couple of years. And then, I have good DNA. So my dad and mom worked their butts off, and my dad got a job as a stock boy in a liquor store. And to this day, it's funny, I asked my team today, my content team, to dig up every piece of content that we can find where I talk about saving money. And I talk about it all the time, and nobody ever talks about it to me. When I tell you, like, if you asked my 5,000 hardest core content consumers, name things Gary talks about, I promise you it would be an hour before they talk about saving money, even though I'm about to put out a video that has me mentioning it 115 times in the last 2 years. So, I learned that early on because I watched my family really get out of poverty to middle class in a short period of time by literally not spending a penny on anything but food and shelter. I've been saying something lately, Brent, that I think might make sense to what we talk about. And, I've come to believe that if somebody is born in a home with little, but with a lot of love around it, they are the most prepared for a happy life because they're taught subconsciously at a young age that money is not the variable of happiness. So as you were asking the question, I'm like, that's where my brain went. I'm like, man, what was my surroundings? The perfect storm for what I think is a really good framework for life, which is, like an all-time mom who just loved me to death, but also really extenuated and focused on the things I was good at, but held me accountable to things that I wasn't good at, but didn't make me feel like I sucked because I wasn't good at it, which is crazy because the thing I wasn't good at is the core thing, which was school. Like if you think about how we judge kids before they're 18 years old, think about this. We basically judge children in modern society for the last 75 years, predominantly on school, occasionally on sports, physical appearance, but those are like the 3 or 4 things kids hear about. Like that's just like it. And so I was very fortunate. My mom was way ahead of her time and really focused on pointing out how naturally kind I was. And then on the flip side, not only were we not really wealthy, but my mom was cheap. She's still cheap, right? And so me and my sister had an aha moment 5 years ago. We're like, wait a minute. We got out of being like poor pretty quick. We were lower middle class for a while. We were in middle class for a while. We're even, towards the end, we're even like starting to go to that next chapter. And yet mom never bought anything for us. And we never went on a family vacation. And we never had the swag or anything. And so we were like razzing her a little bit. We're like, you could have given us a little something. But what that did was it taught me that if I was hungry, I had to hunt for my own food. And so I was lemonade stands, washing car. I mean, more than half my days of my childhood in the summer, I either was playing sports outside or I was ringing people's doorbells trying to get $1 some way. Can I wash your car? Can I shovel your driveway? Do you want to buy this stuff that I found outside? Like whatever it took. And so I'm a 46-year-old man that has a platform now, and I look at the things that come out of my mouth, and sometimes I step out of my own self and I'm like, man, this is just my childhood and how I was parented. And so there wasn't even a conversation when we were kids about entrepreneurship. We didn't even know the word existed. It was college, the end. So I was told I was a loser my whole life because I was a really bad student. But it was because I was so passionate about my entrepreneurship that I couldn't breathe. I couldn't even conform. I'm no dummy. I'm a pretty bright kid. But I couldn't even conform to get C's. Brent, my mom used to beg me. She's like, you're so smart. Just get a C. I'm like, I can't. I'm not going to listen to a thing in class. I'm not going to do homework. I'm not going to take the test. I need every ounce of energy. I didn't say this. I said it to myself, and I didn't even really say it to myself. It took me years after I was a little bit older to realize this is what was happening. I just needed to work on my craft. You know, when Malcolm Gladwell came out with that 10,000 hours concept, I was laughing. I was like, man, I was at 10,000 hours by the time I was 16, which is why a lot of the things that happened in my career make sense. By the time I took over my daddy's liquor store at 22, I was a veteran in business. Of course it went from 3 to 65 million in a heartbeat. It sounds crazy when it's a 23, 24-year-old kid, right? And not valuation like the new world, no, revenue, like I built it. But by the time I was there, I was refined. I was a real operator. And so I knew it early, but let me tell you what I've extracted out of that will make sense for everybody, that might bring value to everybody. I actually believe everybody on this call right now knows what their passion is. I believe they talk themselves out of it because they think it's silly or it won't make money. This is a very big thought I've been working on in my lab. This is one of the first times I'm putting it out there. I've said it here and there a little bit, but this is the first time I'm really it is deep, Anthony. I think all of you know. It is deep, Anthony. I think all of you know. Yes, Catherine, this is good. This is good stuff. I think you know you love music, cooking, skiing, the Transformers, hip hop, sneakers, sailing, golf. I think you know that. I know you know that. I just don't think you can make a profession out of it, or what you really love is some silly shit. Like if you really went into like some full lie detector stuff, somebody's answer might be the Power Rangers, and that might just seem too silly. Yet I believe if the Power Rangers, the cartoon, the thing from back in the day, if you went ham and made content, YouTube videos, a podcast, NFTs, social media content, I know for a fact you could make $100,000 a year through brand deals, selling hoodies, speaking, but people are scared of other people's judgment. When I was 20 and 17 and 15, most of my friends' number one passion was video games. Nobody, not even myself, thought video games was a profession back then. If one of my friends had the conviction to heed the call that I'm saying out loud today, they would be a pioneer in the video game industry, making 6 figures, doing the thing they love more, instead of being a retailer, executive, or a lawyer. I'm very passionate about this. I believe people know their passion. I think people are scared to live within humble means. This is a big one, Brand. I think people are scared to live a life that means that they make $63,000 a year because we've lost our way of living within our means. We need to redefine success in our society. We need to redefine success. I know unlimited, miserable millionaires. Unlimited. I can name 500 if you gave me an hour. And I know friends that make less than $80,000 a year that are genuinely deeply happy. And we must educate the world about this truth.